I want you to picture something for a second. You are staring down a massive, just totally decadent slice of chocolate cake late at night.
Oh, we have definitely all been there.
Right. And you know you promised yourself you were sticking to salads this week. But before the fork even hits your mouth, the mental math begins.
The dreaded mental math.
Exactly.
Ugh.
You are calculating the macros, worrying about the glycemic index, figuring out how many agonizing minutes on the treadmill it will take to zero out this one dietary transgression.
It's exhausting, honestly.
It really is.
Right.
Modern eating is practically defined by this constant low-level hum of anxiety. We are just obsessed with the physical data of what we consume. But for the next few minutes, I want you to completely wipe the slate clean.
Just throw it all out.
Yep. Throw out the food pyramid, forget calorie counting, and imagine a world where the guilt you feel about eating that cake is actually far more dangerous than the sugar inside it.
It requires a massive cognitive leap to let go of those physical frameworks. I mean, we treat our plates like chemistry experiments today.
We really do.
But the source material we are unpacking today demands a complete abandonment of that materialist perspective. It argues that the physical components of your meal are practically irrelevant compared to, well, your emotional state while you're eating it.
Which brings us to today's deep dive. Welcome, everyone. Our mission today is to explore a philosophy that takes modern nutritional science, turns it entirely upside down, and proposes a radical alternative.
And this alternative is basically that the mindset of the person eating is infinitely more important than the actual food on the fork.
Right. We are drawing from an essay titled Secrets of Diet. It's written by an author named Su Feng, translated by Kinyu, and it serves as a foundational outline for the dietary theories of Lifechanyuan.
And for those who don't know, Lifechanyuan is a spiritual and philosophical movement focused on living in harmony with nature and the universe.
So as we get into this, I want to make it clear, we're just reporting on these ideas, not endorsing them, but they are fascinating to explore.
Definitely. And as we synthesize this material, it becomes immediately apparent that Su Feng is not interested in writing a standard dietary manual.
No, not at all.
He is attempting to merge high-level quantum physics, spirituality, and human biology into like a unified theory of digestion.
Okay, let's unpack this, because he actually starts off by agreeing with traditional science, just briefly, before he takes a massive left turn.
Right. He sets up the baseline first.
Yeah. The essay kicks off by acknowledging what we all generally accept as the basic rules for a healthy stomach. The traditional ideal is that your food should be soft, it should be warm, and you should eat it slowly.
And the major taboos are eating too fast or consuming hard, abrasive foods, right?
Exactly. Or swallowing things that are freezing cold or boiling hot.
Which makes perfect biological sense from a mechanical standpoint. Traditional health maintenance basically views the digestive tract as an engine.
Yeah, you pre-warm and pre-soften the fuel.
Exactly. So the engine doesn't have to work as hard to break it down. It is a very pragmatic, physically grounded approach to human anatomy.
But Xu Feng introduces those rules just to completely dismiss them.
He just tosses them right out.
He does. He argues that trying to control the physical properties of the food, like making it soft or warm, is a total distraction. He claims the true secret to diet is the heart, meaning the mindset and consciousness of the eater.
And to justify this, he bypasses biology completely and dives straight into the realm of subatomic physics. It's just a wild pivot.
It really is.
He builds this argument by pointing to the concept of water molecule crystallization. Xu Feng references the idea that human intention and emotion can physically alter the structure of water.
Right. The underlying claim there is that if you project positive thoughts onto a glass of water, the molecules organize into beautiful, symmetrical crystals.
Whereas negative thoughts create chaotic, fragmented structures.
And he doesn't stop at water. He scales this up to quantum mechanics. Xu Feng argues that because quantum physics has demonstrated that the behavior of fundamental particles is influenced by the observer.
The famous observer effect.
Yes, exactly. And because all food is made of these fundamental particles, your consciousness literally changes the molecular structure of your dinner.
What's fascinating here is that he is proposing a literal biological chain reaction triggered by human thought.
So not just a metaphor.
No, not at all. Xu Feng isn't asking you to view the salad on your plate as inert matter waiting to be dissolved by stomach acid. He is asking you to view it as a dynamic, highly sensitive energy field that takes its structural cues from your perception.
It's like treating the human digestive system not as a mechanical engine requiring a specific grade of physical fuel, but rather as a highly responsive smart system that literally changes the physics of the fuel based on the mood of the driver.
That is a great way to put it.
Like if you were driving angry, the fuel turns into sludge. If you were driving happy, it transmutes into premium rocket fuel.
Right, it physically alters based on you.
But I have to push back gently here. How does he actually connect the leap from observing subatomic particles in a sterile quantum physics lab to physically digesting a chaotic, complex meal in a human stomach?
Well, Shuifeng bridges that gap by redefining the act of eating as the ultimate act of observation.
Okay, how so?
In a laboratory, a scientist observes a particle with instruments, but when you eat, your entire biological system becomes the observation chamber.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you aren't just looking at the food, you are absorbing it into your own cellular matrix. Therefore, he posits that your mental state at that precise moment of absorption dictates the behavior of those food particles on a quantum level.
So if we accept this wild premise that our brain can change the fundamental physics of our food, how do we actually trigger it? Like, what is the specific emotion or password required to unlock this quantum nutrition?
According to the Lifechanyuan philosophy, it all boils down to one specific state of being:
Which is?
gratitude. Gratitude is the catalyst. Maintaining a profound sense of gratitude is presented as the absolute secret to maximizing the energy you extract from your food.
Just feeling thankful.
Yes. Swiffing argues that when you feel genuine thankfulness, the internal molecular structure of whatever you are consuming naturally reorganizes into an optimal, health-promoting configuration.
And the language he uses to describe this is incredibly vivid. He claims that when you approach a meal with a grateful mindset, the fundamental particles of the food joyfully enter the digestive system.
So, yes.
They are rapidly and eagerly absorbed, maximizing the nutritional value and minimizing any bodily waste. I mean, he is anthropomorphizing the food, suggesting it is literally happy to be eaten by someone who appreciates it.
He does assign a level of consciousness to the matter itself, yeah. But he also tries to anchor this highly abstract theory with real-world observable examples.
Like what?
Well, he points to the practice of devout Christians praying before a meal to thank God. Swiffeng doesn't view this as just a quaint spiritual ritual or a demonstration of faith.
He sees it as something functional.
Exactly. He argues that the specific act of prayer is a literal physical method of reprocessing the food before it enters the body.
So he is suggesting that prayer functions as like a secondary cooking method, or maybe even a verbal digestive enzyme.
That is a highly accurate way to frame his argument. The gratitude expressed during the prayer optimizes the nutritional components, allowing the human body to extract the absolute maximum value. The spiritual act produces a measurable biological outcome.
And he applies this exact same logic to alcohol consumption, which I found totally fascinating because it is so relatable.
Yeah, the drinking example is very compelling.
Schweffing points out a phenomenon many people have experienced. If you are out drinking with close friends, people you deeply connect with, it is incredibly difficult to get drunk. You can consume a significant amount of alcohol and remain relatively lucid.
But on the flip side,
Right. If you are sitting across the table from an opponent, a rival, or someone who causes you deep stress, you can become heavily intoxicated after just a glass or two.
he takes a substance with a highly predictable, measurable chemical effect, ethanol, and argues that its biological efficacy is entirely subordinate to the emotional environment.
It's all about the vibe, basically.
Essentially, yes. Shuifeng explicitly states that the degree of intoxication is not primarily dictated by the alcohol content or the volume consumed. It is dictated by the atmosphere at the table and the drinker's mindset.
That is wild.
The emotional context completely overrides the chemical reality of the substance.
And the same logic applies to everyday digestion. He points out that eating while furious is a guaranteed way to trigger indigestion. We all know that.
Right. Nobody digests well when they're mad.
But conversely, he claims that if you are in a state of profound joy, you can eat in massive excess far beyond your physical caloric needs, and your body will process it flawlessly. The joy neutralizes the physical burden of overeating.
Because joy and gratitude act as the ultimate modifiers of physical matter in this worldview. And Shuifeng takes the concept to its most literal extreme.
He really does.
He actually advises the reader to verbally communicate with their food.
Yes, and this is where it gets really eccentric. He suggests that before you eat, you should literally speak out loud to your meal. Yeah, you were supposed to say, "You are beautiful, you are fragrant, you look great, thank you." And he claims that the food will energetically respond, essentially communicating back, the host is wonderful, the host is good, the host is elegant.
Sitting down at a table and engaging in a two-way dialogue with a bowl of soup is certainly a radical proposition. It demands a total suspension of how we normally interact with the physical world.
Here is where it gets really interesting for me, though. If we look past the surface-level eccentricity of talking to a sandwich, isn't he essentially tapping into a very real, scientifically documented phenomenon?
You mean the gut-brain connection?
Yes. We know for a fact that stress ties our stomachs in knots. When we are anxious, our brain floods our system with cortisol and adrenaline, which actively shuts down digestive motility.
It literally halts the process, yes.
Right, so our mental chemistry directly controls our gut.
This raises an important question, and you are touching on a crucial parallel. Sufeng is essentially literalizing modern psychosomatic medicine through the lens of spiritual poetry.
Spiritual poetry, I like that.
Whether you believe the fundamental particles of a carrot are actually whispering compliments back to you or not, the broader physiological mechanism he is describing aligns perfectly with how our nervous systems operate.
Because of the fight or flight response?
Exactly. If your body is locked in a sympathetic fight or flight state due to anger or anxiety, it physically cannot prioritize digestion. Blood flow is diverted away from the stomach.
But if you are relaxed,
Right. If you are in a parasympathetic rest and digest state, which is triggered by feelings of safety, joy, and gratitude, your body processes that intake optimally.
so it is easy enough to theorize that being happy makes a fresh, healthy meal sit better in your stomach. Anyone can get behind that.
Sure, that's fairly accepted.
But Shuefeng doesn't stop at pleasant, well-prepared meals. He pushes this theory to the absolute limit. He moves from abstract philosophy to the ultimate biological stress test.
Which is his own life.
His own life, yes. And his incredibly extreme dietary history.
This is the point in the essay where he aggressively challenges the reader's skepticism. It is one thing to claim that gratitude helps you extract a few extra vitamins from an organic apple.
Right.
It is an entirely different proposition to claim that gratitude can fundamentally neutralize objectively hazardous contaminated matter.
Because Shuefeng reveals that he endured severe, prolonged hardships earlier in his life, including periods of near starvation.
Which completely shifted his perspective.
Exactly. He argues that surviving that agonizing level of hunger stripped away all of his dietary prejudices. It forged a profound, completely natural appreciation for the mere existence of calories. He truly knows the value of food because he knows what it means to be without it.
He describes a relationship with sustenance that was hammered into shape by trauma. And because he possesses this deep-seated, unshakable gratitude, he claims to be entirely immune to gastrointestinal disease.
Despite eating terribly.
Right, despite maintaining eating habits that violate every single principle of food safety and traditional health.
It is the exact opposite of the slow, soft, and warm rules we discussed earlier. He describes his current eating habits as chaotic and irregular. He devours cold, hard foods without a second thought.
Just whatever's around.
Yeah, he happily eats whatever leftovers are available. And most shockingly, he explicitly claims to eat moldy and spoiled food without suffering any illness whatsoever.
Let us pause and evaluate the severity of that claim for a second. Moldy and spoiled food contains mycotoxins and pathogenic bacteria.
Like salmonella or E. coli.
Yes, which have predictable, severe, and sometimes fatal physiological effects on the human body. Yuefeng is asserting that his mindset alone alters or utterly destroys those physical threats upon ingestion.
So what does this all mean? When we look at these incredible claims about eating moldy food without consequence, I have to raise a psychological pushback here.
Go for it.
Is it possible that Shuefeng is actually experiencing the ultimate trauma-induced placebo effect? Because his body and brain were pushed to the brink of starvation, the overwhelming psychological relief of having any food might be so powerful that it suppresses his brain's recognition of a gastrointestinal reaction.
Like a shock response.
Yeah. We know the brain can block out immense physical trauma during shock. Could his brain just be suppressing the symptoms of food poisoning?
I have to challenge you on that interpretation.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, while the placebo effect is incredibly powerful for pain management and symptom suppression, a placebo cannot neutralize a literal physical toxin.
Oh, that's true.
If you ingest a lethal dose of mycotoxins, blocking out the stomach cramps won't stop your liver from failing. Wei Feng is not arguing for a psychological trick that makes him feel better. He is proposing a radical biological alchemy. He is claiming that the gratitude literally reconstructs the spoiled matter so that it is no longer toxic to him.
That is a staggering distinction. He is claiming total mastery of mind over matter.
Absolutely.
And he applies this same intense, chaotic energy to the speed at which he eats, too. He is famously fast. He says he generally finishes a meal in under 10 minutes.
Which is very fast.
Very fast. He tells this vivid story from his school days where, while his classmates were sitting down in the dining hall to slowly chew their meals, he would grab his food and just start devouring it while speed walking back to his room.
So he's not even sitting down.
No. He would finish the entire meal before he even reached his door. And he specifically makes a point to note that this incredible eating speed was witnessed by figures he refers to as Taiji Celestial, Wanian Celestial, and Tianshan Celestial.
The inclusion of those specific titles is important for context here.
Yeah, what do those titles mean?
In the Lifechanyuan community, members often adopt new names or titles, like celestial, to signify a state of spiritual elevation or harmony with nature.
Ah, I see.
So by naming these specific individuals, he isn't claiming that supernatural spirits watched him eat. He is establishing formal, respected witnesses within his community to verify that his behavior isn't just an exaggerated personal anecdote. It was a documented reality.
That makes a lot of sense. He goes on to detail his diet during his 4 years of high school, and it sounds like an absolute nightmare of nutritional deprivation.
It sounds incredibly tough.
He never ate breakfast. Lunch consisted of a single plain cornmeal bun. Dinner was just simple noodle soup. He had zero meat, and he notes that vegetables were incredibly scarce.
So barely any nutrients.
Right. But despite the severe lack of caloric intake and nutritional balance over 4 long years, he claims he never fell ill a single time. He was very thin, obviously, but he says his body remained incredibly strong and resilient.
He presents a scenario of absolute physical deprivation, yet claims robust, unshakable health. And he knows how impossible this sounds to an outsider, so he addresses the skepticism directly by quoting his own wife.
Yeah, the part with his wife is so interesting.
He mentions that his wife observes his cast-iron digestion with jealousy. She attributes his health to divine favoritism, telling him, "The greatest creator is so biased, giving you a healthy stomach."
But Suifeng completely rejects that explanation.
So you won't accept it.
No, he refuses to let her chalk it up to genetics or a physical blessing from God. He insists she is entirely missing the point. He tells her it has absolutely nothing to do with being gifted a superior biological stomach. His attitude toward the food is the only mechanism doing the work.
His mindset alone.
Yeah. And now that he has survived those hardships and lives in abundance, he says the simple act of eating feels like heaven. When he bites into a perfectly sweet, moist apple or a piece of watermelon, his immediate reaction is a profound thought of the greatest creator.
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
he views the flawless design of a piece of fruit, like the exact right balance of moisture, texture, and sweetness, as direct, tangible evidence of a creator.
It's proof to him.
Right. And that realization fuels an endless loop of gratitude, which in turn acts as the quantum armor that protects his physical body. The hardship proved the theory, and the abundance sustains it.
It all continually circles back to the mind being the absolute master of the body, which leads us to the core takeaway from today's sources.
The ultimate conclusion.
Exactly. The dietary philosophy of Lifechanyuan, as outlined by Yuefeng, argues that approaching your daily intake of food and water with genuine deep-seated gratitude is the ultimate unrivaled key to physical and mental well-being.
It is a philosophy that completely supersedes and invalidates traditional rules of nutrition.
In this framework, it doesn't matter if the food is hot, cold, soft, hard, spoiled, or perfectly balanced in macronutrients. The only thing that truly matters is the energetic and emotional exchange between the observer and the meal.
It is a radical reframing of what sustenance actually is. It challenges the listener to stop viewing digestion as a purely chemical transaction, just a mundane bodily function.
Right, a chore.
Yeah, and to start viewing it as a continuous, active, emotional, and spiritual practice. Every meal becomes an opportunity to alter physical reality through perception.
Which means, for you listening right now, this represents a massive paradigm shift. It is a shift away from viewing your meals as a mathematical equation of proteins, fats, and carbs that you have to obsessively manage, control, and feel guilty about.
It asks you to view eating as an energetic interaction instead.
Yes. It asks you to find genuine, unadulterated joy in the mere privilege of having food on your plate.
And if we engage seriously with Su Feng's claims, that shift in perspective isn't merely about improving your mood or making you a happier person at the dinner table.
It goes way beyond that.
It is about fundamentally altering the biological reality of how your cellular structure processes the physical world around it.
Which leaves us with a fascinating idea to ponder as we wrap up this deep dive. In our modern culture, we are completely undeniably obsessed with the mechanics of what we eat.
Obsessed is the right word.
We spend billions of dollars every year tracking macronutrients, debating the merits of organic versus conventional farming, arguing over raw versus cooked diets, and demonizing processed foods.
The anxiety is a whole industry in itself.
It really is. We have built massive, sprawling empires entirely on the foundation of dietary anxiety and the pursuit of nutritional perfection. But what would happen to our multi-billion-dollar diet and wellness industry tomorrow if people suddenly believed that how they felt about their food was the only metric that actually mattered?
If the only thing you ever had to count was your gratitude.
Exactly. Something for all of us to think about next time we sit down for a meal.